Try not to mute me.
No, I'm not going to do that. Hey, everybody. We're going to start. But welcome. This is the seventh, right? It's amazing. Seventh in a series of free meetups that I've been providing for the Metro Detroit Agile community. Of course, there's a bunch of you from all over the United States. You're always welcome to join. I know when Stuart does something with me, I get people from all over the globe. And I'm going to let Stuart introduce himself in a minute, but I'm Rob Kalman. I own Michigan Technology Services. We're in Farmington Hills, which if you're out of Michigan, we're a suburb of Detroit. And we, my staff, my colleagues and I provide a lot of Agile and IT training. If you think about Agile training as Scrum Master, Product Owner, Agile Leadership, Visualization, and anything you can think of Agile with coaching, we can help you with michiganagiletraining.com. Stuart is, of course, a visualization trainer. He's an Agile coach and trainer. And so I'm going to let him introduce himself a little more, because I know you're not here to listen to me. You want to see what he's got on his deck, his presentation. And it's not just a presentation. I think he's going to be asking you to participate in some of the drawings. So you might want to, I think he's going to ask you guys to use your cameras and not just hide behind the Zoom screen, so you can show off some of your artwork at times. A little heads up, I am recording the session because there's a few people that emailed me and they asked me to record because they weren't able to make it. So I'll load this up in a day or two to YouTube and LinkedIn, and we'll go from there. And so that's it. Stu. Stu's coming from, you're right outside of Oxford in the
That's
UK.
right.
So I welcome you. Thank you for joining us. I know it's late for you.
The 10 o'clock here, but that's fine. It's all good. If I slow down towards the end or go quiet, you know why. But I've had my tea, so I should be good to go. So thank you so much, Rob, for bringing me in. I've been with Rob, worked with Rob before. I've been over to Michigan and worked with Rob and had some awesome fun with Rob and Chet, doing some of the things that he was talking about. So it's nice to collaborate again, if not a little bit further away. So there we go. Yeah. So just to prepare for this session, total fun, but opportunities for questions and discussions might be slightly different to what you're expecting. Rob suggested a second ago, it would be good for a bit of collaboration and an engagement. So do grab a pen and some paper. That'll be fantastic. And the other thing that I would like to suggest is right at the end, we're going to be using Mural. There are other online collaborative tools are available. We're going to be using Mural for a little exercise. So for some of you, you can just watch. If you want to, I'll be sharing a link in Zoom chat. What I would suggest is it seems to work better and it's happier if you're using Chrome. Don't know why. Give that a go. And we'll go from there. And for those of you that can, we'll be doing some drawing. You'll be taking a picture and uploading it into Mural. So just a bit of preparation there. But you don't need to download anything. You just need to copy a link. So there we are. That's all the preparation you need. So there we are. I'll bring us to me. So that is me. Slightly shorter hair there, pre lockdown. So yeah, Stuart Young. I like to think of myself as a visual storyteller. I do agile training, coaching, and I work for a company called RadTech. We do we're framework and method non-biased. In a purist sense, I think most of our experience in the background for 25 years is in Agile, but I run our innovation practice and very, very passionate about building the right thing. So a lot of the talks that I'm doing at the moment are around innovation, and I've been doing a lot of talks around customer journey mapping. So telling a business story and a customer story, bringing in elements of design thinking, and the focus of today, 5 o'clock, visual thinking. So visual thinking being a great way in which we can tell a compelling story in a way that will engage with stakeholders. So this stuff might seem like a bit of fun, but it's powerful stuff. So the key to this talk is around visualization and visual thinking. But yeah, we other talks at the moment are around innovation and storyboarding and customer journey mapping. So this talk and stroke workshop that I'll be running tonight, it was originally in Vienna for the Scrum gathering last year. So and some changes and adaptations and evolutions from that. So that's me. I'll bring in a bit more about myself as I go through, but that's generally what I do. I'm teaching others to visualize, or I use visualization to help to crystallize ideas and to accelerate group learning. There we are. I'm across the other side of the pond. So when you see the word visual, I use the word S, not Z, but that's the only thing. Apart from that, we should be good to go. So this is what we're going to be going through this afternoon, this evening. First thing is to describe the theory of visual thinking and visualization. It's slightly different, I would imagine, to what some of you may think. But that's important just to kind of get the grounding of that first. Then I want to talk a little bit about the difference between innovation and creativity, okay? Just to be clear on that point. Then I want to talk about how we can be spontaneously innovative. And then the key bit for this talk really is around articulating how visual competency can in some respects eliminate cognitive bias, and then embracing both diversity of thought and convergence through visual thinking. So this is the bit at the end where I'd like most contribution and collaboration. So it's really around how can we use visualization to embrace group diversity at the same time as coaches, facilitators, leaders. We can bring people together and converge with an outcome. So that's the the flow of the session. So hopefully that works for you guys. Just a little bit of dual learning here. As I talk and get you involved, I'm using Mural. Right now I'm using software called Notability, and I've exported my slides as a PDF, and I'm working on my iPad, and it's allowing me to draw on top. So a few little tricks for you as well along the way that you might be interested in. So there we are. So I would imagine that if I mention the theory of visual thinking or visualization, you'd expect me to start blurting some percentages, like 90% of the information that we transmit to our brain is visual. And I might blow you away with some sort of percentages around how many of us are visual learners. And I might even go down that sort of rabbit warren of starting to talk about, what you hear a lot about left thinking and right thinking. But you know what? I'm just going to throw that to the curb right now, because really what I want us to talk about is slightly different to this, and slight variety, a slight change to this. Now, what I'd like to do is using chat. I would like you guys, before we move any further, what I'd like you to do in chat is I would like you, actually we could do chat, or we'll do chat. Please write in chat your favorite children's book. Please write in the chat your favorite children's book. Very nice. Under that, we'll see how many of these I recognize. Oh, yeah, no, this is good. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hungry Caterpillar. Oh yes. Dr. Zeus. 2 Dr. Zeus. Interesting. 3 Dr. Zeus. Wow. This is lovely. Great. Brilliant. Wow, but goodness me, you're going to have to do a talk, Rob, on Dr. Zeus. The wild things. We could go on forever. I love all these books. The chances are the reason why you remember these books is because of the dazzling array of beautiful pictures that bounce off the pages. Thank you. The last one there, Roald Dahl. Now, my favorite, any of the Roald Dahl books, were the wonderful illustrations from Quentin Blake. Beautiful. Now, there's something here that's really, really powerful. And this is why I don't talk about theories anymore. What I've come to realize is that a lot of people talk about visual literacy. That's right. That is that the chances of the reason why you can remember some of those pictures is because you've been using, you basically navigated those children's books, those picture books, using your visual literacy before you learned to read and write. And I find that is so, so powerful. So forget for now agility, innovation, business. Let's just talk about the world around us, right? Let's just sort of see how much this message resonates with us. Now, there's a lot of really nice academic studies about this. One by Anneliese Tillman. When children are first introduced to literature, it is often in the form of books. Children learn to associate the words with pictures with meaning because they cannot read the words on the page. Now, my kids are quite big now. And whilst I like theory, I like putting things into practice much more than that, than just like reading something in a book. So I worked with a few of the primary schools in the area and identified that with the children that were going from nursery age, sort of 3, 4, going into school, that they used something called story mapping, different story mapping to the story mapping you might be more familiar with in Agile, but it was just pictures on a flip chart, yeah? And you'd flow through, and these children were able to tell me a story without any words. It's really, really powerful stuff. I'm not going to go down the realms of language therapy, but a lot of people have reached out and talked to me about how this really does support and unlock a lot of learning and support for people with dyslexia and reading and writing difficulties. And I think that's such a powerful, powerful message as well. We have to make information clear and accessible for all. It goes on in this study from Anneliese to suggest that visual literacy includes the ability to interpret, comprehend, and express ideas using creative visuals. Now, this suggests to me then that you don't have to be fancy with a little Neuland pen to be visually literate or be good at visual thinking. This is now suggesting that we as a team, we talk in Agile about cross-functional teams. By using visuals, we're creating an opportunity where people can express and obtain information. So don't just go, oh, Fred's the guy that likes to draw, he's the one that will do it all. Your part to play in big picture thinking as a recipient of that information is as powerful. So reading a map, all these things, think of all the situations where you're looking at pictures. It's powerful, powerful stuff. And it's such a shame that we still, in some situations in business, make do with comprehensive documentation and jargon terminology. It's something that we're used to. It's something that we've always been drawn to, no pun intended. And this is something we should be making a lot more use of. Now, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here, slight lag there, it will come through in a second, it really does resonate with me. So whilst I've worn the badges of being a business analyst and worked in more waterfall environments, before that, and after I graduated with a design degree, I worked with adults with learning disabilities within social care. And I was accustomed to what was called the symbol hierarchy. Interesting to know if any of you guys have ever worked in social care. Let's have some discussions at the end. But it's really interesting. The symbol hierarchy suggests the level of clarity versus abstraction of varying visual representations. So for example, if we weren't locked in and you went across the pond, if I was trying to explain a grey elephant, the best thing I can do is bring that real object into the room. And then we go further up this pyramid and we find information becomes a little bit more abstract. Now this is obviously based very, very generic, based on sort of the same sensory requirements and needs. And I think it's fair to say that in my days of working within social care with adults with profound and multiple learning disabilities, objects of reference was much more preferred as a means of communication. But for people, adults with reading and writing difficulties, we did sort of, the favor was around sort of picture communication, symbol picture and photo communication. What is clear though, is that the written word is rather abstract, okay? And I think you guys will agree with that. So when we think about agility again, and we think about the misalignment across an organization, and the fact that requirement gathering workshop documents are never very clear, A picture does speak 1,000 words. It's a cliche, but words are abstract. Words create assumptions, words create confusion. So bringing it out of the Agile space, you can see that this is something that is used within education and within social care, etc. So very powerful, powerful stuff. The other thing that I sort of wanted to mention around this is that there are certain specific motivations for this sort of stuff. Now, as a business visualizer, visual storyteller, call me what you like, there are specific motivations for bringing in visual thinking. Now, the first one that I want to mention is engagement, okay? So when I talk about using like this stuff here, live illustration, was on one of Chet Hendricks' CSMs, and I was live illustrating the information there on one of Rob Kalman's courses. And that was to help with creating an information radiator to make it clearer to sort of synthesize the key information and digest that information as you go on. Following on from Chet, never an easy thing. Some great stories there, but that's the sort of that was the idea of the intent of visualization. Much like when I used to visualize and do live illustration within social care. The other thing that's really, really cool here is on your side of the pond. I went on the visual facilitation course there with Grove Consulting with the guru Dave Sibbett, and Dave Sibbett talks about a faithful visual helping with the retention of group memory. So if we think about the retention of group memory here, if it's just a document that you're using, just a few words, and it might not help to extend the retention of memory. Whereas a nice faithful picture, whatever that might look like, will extend that retention of memory. So powerful stuff here. And really important, you know, we're extending information and we're making it clearer. You know, this is a really powerful artifact and helps us to align. Again, some experiments that I'm happy to share if I've given time around dual coding, running experiments in schools where children were learning new topics, pretty cruel really, same age group learning a new topic. We did it on gravitation, and we had one group that was using pictures and words and one group that only had words. And then they were quizzed on that subject at a later stage. And the people that had pictures as well to communicate and as reference during the training and learning, they actually, they mark much higher. So there's something to be said for the retention of memory through pictures. The other bits that I wanted to mention is around idea generation, problem solving, and alignment. Now, I've been talking about these things a lot over the last few years. So if you've been to any of my talks, I'm sure I've said the same thing. Now, the wonderful thing is that if we think about any meeting, any session that you guys might have within, you know, with whether it be that pair working, a team retrospective, a requirements gathering workshop, some type, possibly without swearing at some agile people in the community, some sort of scaling event, who knows? When do we not ever need to generate ideas or solve problems when we're collaborating? And we always need to try to find a level of alignment. So what we're getting from visuals is sort of a really powerful way to get everyone on one page and to make it really clear what we're trying to do across any product, service, or business model, making, you know, providing some clarity as we go through. So these are the reasons, these are the motivations just here. So if you see yourself and you're on this call and you're passionate about training and coaching or consulting, you work in or outside of the agile space, the things here, if these matter to you, then the chances are that visual thinking is something that's really, really important. Okay, I'll keep checking chat as I go through. Right, this is not a drawing class, but I need to get your full cooperation and I need to sort of get some points across through doing. So what I'd like you to do is being sort of thinking about the demographic, you know, I think it would be quite nice to get you guys to draw a vehicle, something of the automotive industry. You know, I did some work over there not long ago with Rob. So what I'd like you to do is I would like you to grab a pen and some paper. Haven't time to set ground rules, but the ground rule is fun and you know, just not to, and to remove any inhibitions. I would like you to all draw a car. Draw a car, a vehicle, and an automotive vehicle. And what I'd like you to do is, I'll give you about a minute to do that. Okay. And then I'm going to hope that we can do some sharing. Okay, just keep going, doing a good job. Remember, whenever I run these visual thinking courses, I'm always trying to get you to simulate that live space. So don't be precious is key. Keep it simple is also very, very important. So please present your pictures. There we go. Let's look at that. That's brilliant. Rob, that's lovely. Let me just see a few more. I'm just going to take me off. Oh, nice. Jay, that's a nice car. Well, look at that car, Raj. You've incorporated a little bit of a little metaphor, a little journey metaphor going on there. A few more, yeah, brilliant. Oh, good, yes. That's a problem with. I don't think any of you have put any up, and I'm suddenly seeing, oh, these are great. These are wonderful. So a round of applause. The little bit of learning here. This is great. Does anybody? Oh, hello. I just saw a few faces that I recognise. So a few people. Linda, I'm sure I just saw Linda. Hello. You'll know the learning and principle behind this. This is wonderful, and they're all very similar, and that is because and the reason for doing this is to sort of present the fact that we're all conditioned to draw using a universal language, a language that we have used since we were children. So it's powerful. Now, some of you on this call may not think that you can draw well, and it's not about that. It's about communicating and trying to find a level of alignment. So I just saw all those pictures, and there was not one picture that I couldn't see that was saying, a car. So this is powerful stuff, really, really powerful stuff. And we think about what we want to do as well is create a level of trust within a team so that people feel safe to communicate. And we think about the world of innovation. It's really important to be able to prototype ideas, and within agility, we want to find ways in which we can get fast feedback. So really important stuff. Picasso once said, we're born artists. The problem is that we grow out of it. So we need to unlock the inner child in us and communicate through pictures. So that was a very quick little exercise there around around finding a level of alignment. Okay. Now, that's great. So we've done a little thing there about pictures, but let's demonstrate the difference between innovation and creativity. I quite like this quote here from Sienna Soklova. While creativity is the ability to produce new and unique ideas, innovation is the implementation of that creativity. That's the introduction of a new idea, solution, process, or product. I really, really like this. And I think that what's really nice about this message is that it resonates with me running our innovation practice, is that it's the visualization, the creativity allows us, is an enabler to communicate what we're trying to innovate. And what's really, really important about this isn't the whole picture bit. What's really important here, and I got this as a lovely quote from Niels Fleiling, who says that from idea to innovation takes creativity, and creativity should be in the hands of your teams. So therefore, this is a really important thing. When we think about Scrum, the whole idea is to support teams that are dealing with complex adaptive problems, and to support teams to create, to deliver awesome products and to embrace productivity and creativity, right? Creativity is key. So it's that way in which we can do that. So a slight variance, the creativity, the ideas, the pictures help us to innovate. I'm very passionate about the innovation side of these things. And we also need to have an innovation mindset and continuously making time for innovation. Okay, so a bit more fun now, right? We've talked about innovation now, but how can we be spontaneously innovative? Okay, how can we be spontaneously innovative? For example, I've got you guys to draw a car. Now, that's fine, but how can we be more spontaneous with this? There's a great talk by Sir Ken Robinson about how schools kill creativity, and he within the talk he suggests that he tells a story, and within a story in a school, a little girl throws her hand in the air and she says to her teacher, "I'd like to draw a picture." And the teacher says, "Fantastic!" This is before lockdown, obviously, when we could all go into classes. And the child and the teacher says, "What are you going to draw?" And the child says, "I'm going to draw God." And the teacher looked slightly confused and said, "But we don't know what God looks like." And the child says, "Well, we will in a minute." So I think there's something beautiful about that capacity for innovation. Now, I'm fully aware that I've been mentioning that quote for the last year, and so I promised not to mention it again, but I think it's such a powerful quote, and I really like it. So how can we be spontaneously innovative? Now is time for another exercise. So this is called, I won't tell you what it's called, but it's by a gentleman called Dave Gray. I don't want to give it away straight away. I'll give full credit in a second to what it is. All I would like you to do is I would like you to draw some squiggles on some paper. Some little squiggles like this. Any squiggle will do. Away you go. Not worried about how many squiggles you draw. Okay, once you've drawn a squiggle, I would like you to draw a little beak. And then maybe some legs down here, a little tail. You might want to add a little eye if you want, okay? I might draw another little, this is now, okay, I'll tell you. This is called Squiggle Birds by the awesome Dave Gray Game Storming book. And now you're just bringing a little bit of life into these. So I'm just going to let you guys, it's very therapeutic this, you know. Little did you know that you could draw such awesome birds. Yeah, wonderful. I get carried away. If you ever want to have a little break from Zoom and online training, just go off and draw some squiggle birds. Now, whilst this is this is great fun, and I'll keep drawing my squiggle birds. You know, the point of this exercise is that our minds are already pattern-making machines, and it takes very little drawing to convey an idea. So, you know, just a bit of fun to suggest that it takes very little to be able to visualize an idea. So there you go. Bit of kudos for you. So far, you have the ability to draw birds and a vehicle. So there we go. Thank you very much. Anybody wish to share their squiggle birds? Let me have a look at the camera. Oh, okay. Jeremy, let's have a little look. Let's just, oh, very nice. Look at the detail in that one. And Leanna, let's have a look at this. Wow. This is, you guys took this to the next level. Pretty awesome. I'm just going to keep looking through. There's some brilliant. Thank you very much. Awesome stuff. Oh, lovely. So many to show. Great. Excellent. I'm just going to check chat, make sure everyone's okay. Brilliant. Okay. So there we are. Squiggle birds. Okay. So I'll move on. So there we go. So we've talked about visual thinking, and I really hope I get across the idea that visual thinking really does help us to generate ideas, solve problems, and that anyone can draw, right? Really, really important stuff. Now, I want to be really careful here that there are many ways in which we can reduce cognitive bias, but visual thinking may be one of many ways. A cognitive bias is a type of error in thinking that occurs when people are processing and interpreting information. So there's lots of ways in which we create some sort of level of bias. What I do know, though, is that the usual process of live illustration, such as when you might see me at some of the gatherings and conferences, is that there is a level of bias there, because what's happening when I'm drawing is it's a 3-step process. I'm actively listening, I'm synthesizing the information that I'm capturing, and then I'm drawing. So really, if Rob's doing a talk, or Jeremy, or Chet, whoever it may be, if it's me doing the drawing, it's not the drawing that's a bias, it's my synthesis. It's how I'm listening and taking that information in. So therefore, diversity of thought is so much more important and really, really impactful, and a way of removing a bias, right? We're removing assumptions and reducing assumptions through drawings. Now, this is the awesome Tamsin Mitchell, and she was at the London gathering with me. And she's another visual recorder, visual facilitator, absolutely awesome. And everyone was like, right, you guys have a draw off. So we said, right, yeah, no worries. So we attacked a canvas together, and we took the synthesis and we put Post-its out, and then we drew. And it was a really, really good experience. Leave your ego at the door. This is not about being like Leonardo da Vinci. It's about sharing and expressing ideas. So if this is recorded, which I believe it is, I'll make sure I share this with Tamsin. She knows that I'm still giving her lots of kudos. So there we are. Okay. Now, I believe, Rob, is it? You give me the thumbs up here, Rob. Is it fair to say that most people on these talks are familiar with Agile? Would you say? Pretty? The nod. Pretty good. Well, then this will be easy. I would like you guys now to draw something that represents the word. Oh, bear with me. I'll give you a pen that's a bit thicker. Agile. The word agile. Yeah, the word agile. Draw a picture that best describes the word agile. And I will give you about the same amount of time as I gave you for drawing a car. Now I'm looking down here, and now you know what it is. I can see the synthesis going on. A lot of you are looking slightly to the side or slightly to the ceiling as you synthesize your ideas. Now you suddenly realize that you can in fact draw, but it's the synthesis that you may struggle with. In fact, everyone I'm looking at, you're all looking really perplexed. Brilliant. There's other reasons. There's a little bit of learning behind this. There's other reasons why this might be slightly struggling to you. And please be brave enough to shout. Oh, look at that, it's straight up there. So I'm going to give you guys another 20 seconds, but Jeremy, that's good. Yours is up there already. Brilliant. Love it. Please, again, feel safe to share. The whole purpose of this is around sharing. Okay, I'll be a terrible Scrum Master, you know. I never give a big, you know, I never really keep to my word on time boxes. Okay, let's share. Oh, brilliant. Jay, I love your picture. That's awesome. That says to me Agile. That's wonderful. You've got people there. You've got light bulbs. It seems to be a bit of a cycle. Jeremy, we've got empiricism. We've got some refinement going on there. That's beautiful. Who else has got some pictures for me? Oh, nice. Liana, that's a lovely little loop going on there. We've got a nice continuous improvement cycle going on. Oh, and I can see there people and circles. This is great. This is great. Well, these are all lovely. Slight problem though, guys. Slight problem. They're all so different. They're all so different. What went wrong? What went wrong? I was probably, you know, if I was going to do one, I'd be similar to Jay. I might draw, you know, some people, maybe, you know, and then maybe this arrow here like this, you know. But you know, the fact of the matter is that we all drew something completely different. How wonderful, wonderful. Perfect. Now, the reason why you all drew something different, and I believe Linda's on this call, so you'll know this as well, is that Agile is in fact an idea graph, and that is a picture that represents an idea or a concept. And the world of agility and business is riddled in idea graphs. The picture of a car. Now that, you know, whatever car you may have drawn, the car was a pictograph. Okay, something tangible that you can interact with, something you can touch and see. So therefore, it's a little bit less abstract. But the word agile is slightly more abstract because it is an idea graph. And so that's really an important message. So what I'd say here is that if you struggle with drawing certain words, it's probably because they may be idea graphs. All I would say is practice makes better. That's a quote from Tamsin Mitchell there. Not perfect, we're looking for better. And if you draw something 50 times, it becomes part of your muscle memory. It's a little takeaway for you there. But I'm actually quite impressed when we do draw using idea graphs. I think this embraces diversity of thought. So I'm actually saying kudos to that. Now, there's a really good, here I am trying to practice drawing and talking at the same time. How we go? There's a really nice book called The Responsive Chord by Tony Schwartz. Now, he suggests that communication happens when words and images resonate with a person's already embodied values and interests. Now, this is so cool. Let me think about, now that I've just said that quote, I'm going to stop talking. Read that quote. Just give me a visual thumbs up if that resonates with you. That quote there. Just give me a thumbs up if that sort of makes sense to you. Yeah. Okay. Cool. A couple of thumbs. Now, what I think. Thank you. The powerful thing I think here is that a lot of you guys, when I asked you to draw Agile, it wasn't that you were struggling because it was an idea graph. Maybe you were also struggling because you were thinking, now I'm trying to illustrate my experience, what I understand, my interpretation, my competence with this thing. It suddenly becomes much more precious. But when we think about team retrospectives, we think about what resonates with us. Pictures are so powerful. So, we think about, is that, if you believe this is the right, I think there's a lot of power in this. This is really around effective marketing, but I think there's a lot to be said for this. This goes back to the 1970s. A lot can be said for how we can exploit, situations by sharing pictures. But, it's really powerful stuff. So we're trying to get a level of coherence and understanding across a team, or we're trying to get a level of understanding with individuals. Pictures are really, really powerful. So this responsive chord, it's really important, and to reflect upon. Okay, so now we're getting to the sort of the meat and bones of this. I'm hoping by now you're happy with the idea of visual thinking being around visual literacy. I hope you agree that if we're trying to support people to obtain information, retain information, we're trying to generate ideas, we're trying to solve problems, that pictures are powerful. I hope you agree that we can embrace diversity of thought through pictures. But hang on, how can we help teams to converge? So it's all very well that we go into a session, we work and have a workshop, we all draw lovely pictures, but we still need a level of convergence. How do we do that? Now, any of you that are familiar with agile ways of working, and forget about the terminology because it can waver, but we might go through some type of discovery phase. We might go through some type of definition phase of defining what the problem is. We'll then do some development, and then we'll do some delivery of some sort, right? What gives birth to the idea of the double diamond, if you like, is this elaboration, yeah, diversity of thought and convergence, yeah, converging on what the problem is. Diversity of thought and convergence. I like what somebody else drew a second ago, which actually what we should really be doing is thinking about this not like this, but as a continuous flow. We should think about innovation as a full-time thing, not some sort of like linear phase. But when it comes to this, we need to continuously understand how we can converge on ideas. And there's many ways in which I'm sure you can do this, but I'm just going to suggest a couple myself. Now, the first is visual metaphors. Yeah, a visual metaphor helps a group to align on a specific theme when attempting to discuss something that is yet to be defined. I'll give you a nice obvious one that I dare say a few of you have probably used before. Has anyone here used the sailboat? Give me it for a retrospective. Yeah, got a few nods going on there. So here's the sailboat, right? It's always good, by the way, as coaches and trainers, to have a visual, a metaphor, a vehicle and journey metaphor. Vehicles are really, really good to identify what are the things that are propelling us forward, yeah, and what are the things that are holding us back, right? So that's what's really, really quite nice about these types of metaphors. And a metaphor, now we could all add our own stickies and suggestions, completely diverse, completely different pictures, but we converge on the metaphor of the boat. We know the metaphor is suggesting that the boat needs to go somewhere, right? So this is a really powerful way of getting everyone on the same page. Another one that we'll be looking at a little later, which I would suggest that you give a go, is that we need to be good at maybe illustrating a journey metaphor. Now, journey is a great way to show a roadmap, a plan, etc. Again, getting everyone aligned of where we need to be at specific stages. So vehicle metaphors, journey metaphors, all really powerful things, a way in which we can converge, but still embrace diversity of thought. Now, the other one that's really, really important is, and it kind of interlinks, because when we have visual metaphors, we might use graphic templates that incorporate those things. So a graphic template will kind of structure information. Now, there's a wonderful book called The Sketchnote Handbook by Mike Rhodes. And within it, he has a lovely quote here that says that structure is the meat and veg, and that the fancy drawings are the gravy on top. Yeah, really, really, it's so true. So if you don't think that your drawings are very good, or you sometimes struggle thinking, I can't, why have I attacked this flip chart and the information's not great, or I've missed the main bits, or it's just up there, or the detail's not great. The chances are it's all to do with structure. And this is not new to you guys. When we think about structure, you've got the business model canvas, right? That's a very simple template that gets us all on the same page. We could visualize it. We've got the Knevin model. We've got the Stacy model. All these different things are bringing us together, and we can use the different segments and frames and quadrants to communicate and converge. So there we have it, the two really powerful things there, graphic metaphors and templates. Now, I take breath. You may have noticed that even at like this time at night, I'm quite enthusiastic. So at this stage, I'm going to ask us to do something. I would like us, Rob, could you tell me how long we have, my friend?
I'm unmuting myself, sorry. You've got about a good 10, 15 minutes or so. 10 minutes is Q6.
Beautiful. So at this stage, I'm going to stop sharing for a second here. And, oh my word, it was you, Linda. Hello there, Linda. See, I can see all your faces now. It's nice. Probably a few more of you here that I know and would like to have a virtual beer with. What I'd like you to do, I'm going to share a mural, okay? I can't do two things at once, so bear with me. Don't do what I've done before and invite people and then realize that you've run out of your subscription. Always anonymous links all the way. So I'm going to go into chat now, and I'm going to share a mural. There we go. Please click on that mural. Now, what I'd like you to do, now I don't want this just to be about Agile. I thought it would be a bit of fun. We're all in this scary space at the moment. And what I thought would be good fun, click on the link first. And what we'll do is we'll just got a couple of minutes for a bit of orientation, because I mean, maybe a few of you haven't used this before. You click on the link, you should see this. I'll just share this with you. This is my life at the moment, you know. I feel like I'm back at work now. This is the mural. You will see you're all anonymous, which also provides a level of trust. And this is how we can enhance distributed innovation with pictures across the globe, right? So here you have it. I've got some anonymous koalas and different things. What I'd like you to do now, I'm not going to create more confusion by having breakout rooms. What I've given us is 3 templates. You choose which one you want to go to. It just gives us a bit more space. What I'd like you to do, and it's going to take a while, so we're going to have a bit of patience here. I would like you to draw your journey through lockdown. Now, can you draw a picture, right? One picture that represents life before lockdown. If you look before this horrible situation that we're in of COVID-19, what would that picture look like? Now, there's no rules here. If you want to add words as well, that's not a problem. So one picture that represents what your world looked like before lockdown. I'd then like you to draw a picture of your world right now, your life right now, right? And then I'd like you to draw a picture that represents what you think the future will be of COVID. Now, you can make this personal to you. You can make this work related. And I could have made this work related. We could have talked about your culture change or your business transformation or your adoption of Agile. But this is something that resonates with all of us. So I would like you to do. Now, there's 2 ways in which you can do this, people. Draw it, get yourself some Post-its. I'm going to give you a few minutes. Draw your pictures, 3 pictures, take a photograph of them, and then somehow, AirPlay, email, whatever works for you, grab those pictures, upload them to your laptop, and then upload them, drag them onto here. Or, if you want, which is lovely here, someone's anonymous duck is added some symbols. So if you don't want to draw the picture, you could go to the images folder on the left-hand side, and you can just type a word in. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's still picture communication, right? And then if any of you wanted to, you could use the drawing functionality in Mural and draw your pictures in here. So you could draw a picture where you are now, you can, and then upload it, or you can add a picture in here, or etc. I'm going to give us about 6-7 minutes for this. So just take your time. We'll slow down and make, we'll just see how, I'll say 5 minutes. We've got time for questions. But away you go, add your pictures. We've got quite a few people here, so make them small. Whilst you're doing that, I don't want to distract you, but just interesting that some people have added photographs. So the interesting thing here is when I was working within social care, there's an interesting thing about photographs, and sometimes the constraint of a picture on the autistic spectrum, when you're working with people high on the autistic spectrum, if you are trying to use symbol and picture communication, my first ever introduction to a visual board was not in Scrum, right, or Agile. It was working with adults with disabilities, and we would use symbol and picture communication to help people to understand what was going on and to go through the day. Now, if you use a photograph and you say to somebody, today we're going to be going horse riding, and it's a photograph of somebody on a horse, that doesn't resonate very well. They cannot comprehend that that's them on the horse, that's somebody else. So then symbol and picture communication can be a lot more powerful because it's a lot more generic. So again, that's some advice and guidance from speech and language therapists, not my area for expertise, but an interesting play on how we can use photographs and pictures in different ways. So this is great. Just bear with, because there will be a few people drawing as well. So it's going to take them a little longer to draw their pictures, take a photograph and upload them. But this is wonderful. This is great. This is lovely, because it's brought a lot of pain, but it's brought a lot of beauty, hasn't it? You know, there's a lot of people making sourdough and going for lovely walks, and yeah. there may be a lot of divorce lawyers that are making a lot of money in the future, but you know, nonetheless. So again, you can upload your picture. You could use the drawing feature, or you can just add pictures using the images feature. You can also drag straight from Google. Powerful stuff though, and we're doing this, and we're embracing diversity of thought here, but we're converging. Wow, someone's gone a bit crazy with a drawing there. I love it. And an anonymous snake has drawn a trail. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I should be looking at chat, so no doubt there'll be a few people that have been stuck. There we go. No, you're all doing it. Good GIF. I love that. Fantastic GIF there. Fingers crossed. Oh, fantastic. Some pictures are coming in as well. Lovely. I love this. I love this. Okay, then. It's like, okay. That's brilliant. I love it. Yes. These are fantastic. Yeah, absolute chaos. I was hosting the Business Agility Conference in New York when I was on the stage, and I was told that we are now in a pandemic. I was alongside Chet, which was good because he get that level of humor in there that kept us all going. But yeah, so there we go. That was exactly my face when they kept cancelling planes on the way back to the UK. It's great. Yeah, this is great. Look at this, brilliant. Yes, absolute chaos. I think that's, you know, most world leaders, that's their face right now. Wonderful. Okay, so please continue to add your pictures. Would anybody just like to raise in chat, one participants, would you like to just raise a hand up if you'd like to talk us through your pictures? Be brave. Share the love. Share your story. I'm sure we will all agree with it. So just add, just put a hand up using the participant list if you would like to share. Okay. No one yet.
I had a smile on my face. This one's mine.
Oh, okay. Where are you, Linda?
And then this is my hair. It's coming through the gray. That's mine.
Which one's you? Are you the middle? Which canvas?
Middle one that's over the line here.
Oh, great.
My board.
Okay, so you've gone grey during lockdown. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm waiting till we can go back until I color it again. So.
Absolutely, brilliant, love it. Thank you so much. Thank you
so much.
You always make it fun. Thank you, Stuart.
Oh, thank you. Well, you guys make it fun. This is great. Sorry, was there somebody else was that you, Rob, or someone?
I think Jeremy wanted to share.
Jeremy, brilliant. Show me yours as well.
Yeah, so mine's on the first template on the right-hand side.
Okay, I'm moving over.
Yeah, so really the colorful team down there at the below, you know,
yes.
Everything, we're cruising along really good. And
yeah.
then we kind of found ourselves navigating alone, right? Being alone in your own environment without, you know, the team. So, you know, moving up, you've got the light bulb because we had to start relearning some things, right? And reinforce the foundation just in a different environment. And through that, we had to grow differently as a team and leverage different technologies. And our hope is on the outside, as we venture outside of this pandemic, that we're a stronger team, right? We're stronger as individuals, and we're stronger as in our execution and just as a team as a whole.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Jeremy. These are beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And so, you know, a great way to embrace diversity of thought, but you can see there's a bit of a consensus. I think a lot of people were sharing a lot of fingers crossed and holy, you know, what's going on. So keep that link. I'm going to just jump back to one more slide, but you'll see if you've got that link, be interesting to get your feedback. Another structure pattern there. If you could just dot vote or squiggle, if you learned a lot, learned a little, or meh, meaning why have I just wasted an hour of my life? So I'll stop sharing and I'll have a look at that in a second and find out how nice you're being. And I'll cry myself to sleep, but no, it's all good to get fast feedback. So I'll stop sharing that now. You're like a DJ. And I'll quickly go back to sharing. I tell you what, Jeremy, technology's improved, but learning how to navigate, you know, training online is accelerated somewhat as well. So thank you so much to all of you. I obviously love to be there in person. I hope I get the chance to be with Rob again in the future. We'll be running visual thinking skills workshops. I do have one next week, which is over 3 days. If you want to find out any more information, please just get in touch with me. Always get in touch with Rob as well. He's got my details. And no further ado, have you any questions?
Yeah, nobody be bashful. You can always chat a question. I can ask Stu, or you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hey, this is Carol Ferens. I was just curious, does Teams or Microsoft offer any type of drawing or smart boards? Are you aware of?
Do you know, it's Carol, that's such an apt question, because we work with different clients, and all different clients have different constraints with what they use or different preferences, right? So, for example, WebEx, with I found workarounds where we've had to use PowerPoint and we can't see each other in breakout rooms, but they've actually shared a PowerPoint and drawn on it. In Teams, Microsoft Teams, there is a whiteboard feature, okay? But do you know, it'd be interesting to hear from others, because only today I was working with a client on that, and I believe that you can upload and you can draw. The difference is, I think sometimes the limitation is that if you're drawing on in any of these things, you're having to use a tracker pad, and it can be quite difficult. So the best thing to do is to upload those pictures. So let's get some fast learning here. Is anyone familiar with Microsoft Teams? And I'd like to know as well, can you upload pictures into a whiteboard? Ah, there we go. Microsoft Whiteboard can be added as an app into, okay. Okay, good, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, there are some challenges with MS Whiteboard in terms of its stability. Just
okay.
Be aware of that.
But you can draw and upload into a whiteboard?
Yes.
Brilliant. That's good to know. And that, Carol, very good question, because that was something that came up today. But one of the things, what I've been using, a little trick I would say, is if you do use tablets or iPads, such as I'm using on the screen there, if I've been using AirPlay, sometimes that can drop off. So what I've done today is that I actually dialed back in using my iPad and then just renamed it. And sometimes, I'll just show you another little trick, which is kind of helpful. This is the best investment ever. It's a clamp. And I clamp my phone to this. I clamp it to my board, and I dial in on my phone, and I have a webcam. So, you know, there's workarounds for this stuff. As long as you've got the right people with the right level of trust, you can have a lot of fun. More questions coming in. Okay, no, just somewhat, yeah. We've been using Lucidchart. Okay, yeah, I've heard about this. And upload. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's lots of great stuff. There's Miro, there's Mural, but you know, you can still use a flip chart by getting a camera on there and just drawing using your pens, etc. There should be no limitations. Like I say, I've used breakout rooms where there's no visuals and they've had to upload stuff that they can still share. So just break down any technical constraints, the feasibility issues, and just make sure that, you know, you've got the right people that want to collaborate.
Yeah, one of my instructors uses the Elmo tool where he has, it shines down and he can write. It works very well for him.
Yes, yes, I know what you're on about. Yeah, this is the nice thing about this clamp. So if I have it here, I can spin it round and draw on the board, or I can just spin this round and then I can just use paper and draw it much the same way. Again, just something cheap from Amazon. So a nice little tool.
Yeah, Manuela just posted they use was it Kanbanizer, free for brainstorming, and then a board for global teams. They use it internally.
The Elias board, yeah, it's a licensed board. It costs money, but it's for internal stuff where you cannot share it on a platform outside of the company.
Ah, and it's called Kanbanizer.
The Kanbanizer is the free tool. It's like a brainstorming tool. It's not as fancy as Murals, but it's good for like a Kanban board. It has like post-its where you can just brainstorm post-its. And the Elias board is a full board for Scrum capabilities, but it's, as I said, it's licensed and it's costing money. But when you work on an innovation project, you don't want to do this on a free Kanbanizer board, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the big thank you. This is the problem. A lot of us here as coaches and trainers are working with organisations that have security issues or security regulatory requirements. Therefore, some of these things can't be used. So we need to work on workarounds. But that's great. Thank you. Well, thank you. I'm glad. Some good questions there on technology. Any questions on visual literacy? Let me know. Other than that, that's cool.
Yeah, what I would say is that Stuart and I are in touch with each other pretty constantly. I've had Stuart come over from England. We've done some private work for some companies in the area, and we've done some public workshops as well. I had planned on doing one with him in the Novi area, and of course, we're under a no-fly zone right now. So I'll let everybody know when we do this again. But we are going to do a virtual class in July.
Yeah.
And so I'll make sure if anybody wants, I don't want this to be too preachy, but just let me know if you want to learn about any coaching or training. We'll let you know. But this worked out well. Stuart and I met each other during a blizzard. So now we're talking virtually because we can't fly. So it seems like we've got, nature gets in the way sometimes of us.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, hopefully, please reach out, connect with me. Hopefully either see you online, virtually, or in person would be better, with a beer in hand, who knows. So thank you so much to all of you, and lovely, thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate all of you reaching out, joining us tonight, and you all got my contact info. Thank you. I'll post this in a day or two. So if that's it, I'm going to stop the recording and